See, the nicest thing about the old Dutch barn is the big anchor beam and the way it's supported with the support column. And this particular barn is unique because it has the upper tie bar across by the purlin plate. And that means that it's built to support any type of weight. In other words, the roof rafters wouldn't tend to sag down like they would in some other barns.
It's a great spot for us to hang anything. We already have the structure up there. We'll get the barn.
Did you get that on TV?
Yeah.
What's that?
The siding is in good shape.
Yeah. Professional slate job up there. It'd be all brand new slate.
I don't know how well this will come out, but I'll try it.
I was here for one slideshow, and it makes a real nice space. They put a lot of chairs in the middle, and you can pack it. I didn't think there was any trees there.
There's a couple pretty good sized trees in there. Some couple very nice trees. You can see where he's got it staked out. Basically comes down to the river.
Oh, okay. So do the property owners know what's going on?
There was an article in a local paper this week, but I don't think they really understand what potentially is going to happen here.
No opposition?
Well, none yet. 3 of the 5 properties are owned by the same person, and he's more of a landlord type person. And 2 of the properties we don't know much about it yet. We're happy with. I think
Yeah, why wouldn't they? It's only going to help out their property.
And one just hit here, and they're hitting up just the other side of that tree. Every once in a while, I try to rise. There's something they're kind of hatchy. It's just about getting time for it.
Is this swimmable?
It's clean enough to swim.
Any spots for that?
Upriver, probably about 500 yards. There's actually two streams that meet, and where they join is rather deep, and that's where the kids always swim in the summertime.
And there was another concern from...
And basically, you're talking right down through that tree. You can talk, I think from that manhole, it goes pretty much across that way, the sewer. So the area kind of we're standing in is an unencumbered area.
It's pretty flat, huh?
It's fairly flat.
How are we going to get a reading on the floodplain?
That's a good question. It's just kind of up there.
It's up there.
You know what I mean? That's what the map shows.
Yeah. Really? So it's a nice flat spot.
I talked to the
Well,
building department. He's been here for 40 years. He says what happened quite a long time ago, 30 or 40 years ago. There was a barn that was upstream, and water got very high, and it was a very old barn, and it collapsed into the river. Came flying down the river and got hung up underneath
under
the bridge, which backed all the water up.
uh-huh.
So that
That's
was the
when it
one in
raised.
100-year time.
Even that retaining wall, don't have to do anything. It's all there. I tell you. You can see there. It's so good that you don't have to do anything.
Dilapidated old garage that shows you 50 or 60 or 70 years ago the history of it. No, there's the
That's concrete.
that's the
block.
concrete old foundation right there.
That's where you want to land? It's perfect.
It's right there. There's the corner right there. So if you look, it's fairly level actually. It's not that bad. But it is, yeah, it's incredibly overgrown. Obviously, it's been dormant for.
Yeah, but if you think every tree you got to buy costs you $250, you're gonna be thankful you have all these little bushes.
True. True. Be a lot with it.
It's a pretty area.
Very good. My God. All that it needs is cleaning. It's cleaning this area.
That building's got to stay there, you know.
Building is
It's a
there.
classic.
There is everything.
But it's very similar. It comes up kind of gravelly right to the shore. It bends around here. And there's some deeper spots in the river on the bend. It's fairly flat here. Shallow, then it's a little deeper on the far edge. But,
So is this basically all bedrock? Anybody know?
Pretty much. Pretty much. He talked about the water coming up to this level. He's seen that.
Bugs.
But never. The water level's not that high. Really.
So you yourself, personally, you saw it maximum.
Personally, I've only seen it.
No, line on the stone, though. You see generally a line, water line.
Personally, I've seen it probably where we are. But I know it's gone up in there in very, very high water times, but not particularly too much farther than that.
What did you say that big chunk of concrete was?
I don't know what that was, actually. I think it had something to do with the old electric company that was here, but I don't know what that is.
Great. Yeah. Is this a dead end?
Not really. It wanders back up into the upper part. Fishing.
No beer parties or anything?
I can't say it doesn't happen. Not regularly. It's just vacant, dormant. No one really.
This is a nice pool right here.
There's excellent fishing right through here. It's full of trout. Yes, right on the corner.
This is nice.
This is where we could put in that dry hydrant. Some deeper spots over here. But it's a very pretty.
Well, this is all our site, right?
You want all this? We will.
Easily it can be connected to some sort of activity.
Oh, absolutely. There's almost a natural.
Develop. I don't mean to say that it has got to be done right way, but keeping the possibility that in future it can be.
Well, I guess this is as good place as any.
All right.
Still the tips.
This is the major area right here. Meadowy River. Another overall view of the lot. Used to be 2 old buildings down here, so there is water and sewer hookup. Electrical's right nearby. The view down closer to the river. There's an old stone, that's a slate wall. It was built to house this real old barn with a rather ornate roof. Behind that, and not far from the site, is the Fuera Museum. Historical place in Granville, with also a beautiful slate roof. It's a nice area down along the river. It's all overgrown. It could be graded. From the river looking up towards the back of the street, it's not particularly attractive. We're anticipating 2 worst of these buildings to be renovated in the near future. Properly landscaped, our site can be set off from these buildings relatively easily. A better view of the Fuera Museum. Downstairs is the library, upstairs, Museum of Natural History. This is the riverway again. This is all the area that's all overgrown. As we see back up towards those houses, it's a very large lot. That is a Main Street area. You're approximately 1 block off Main Street. This is the entrance to the lot. Again, same site, our 3rd site. All this area down by the river. Looking across the river to the Fuera Museum and Carriage House. Again, I would believe this site would constitute 1.5 to 2 acres total. This is the last house on this street, the entrance to this area. Small street here. This would generally be the entrance area to the property.
Oh, okay, very good. Terrific. Whereabouts in Granville do you live?
Right down on Prospect.
Okay. Right. Yes. Yeah, right.
Okay, you're nice.
Card it up there, make some changes. Not bad. Even just not ready for a cab. It'll be a big addition to the area.
Am I in the way of this camera here?
No, I think I just got an aim straight ahead. Okay.
Are these your pictures?
No, I they came from
You were there. What my impression is, the only thing that I wondered about it.
Would you like to take a seat, please? Hopefully inside, out of the rain. Good afternoon. I'm Matthew Hicks, the trustee of the village of Granville, the colored slate center of the world, a village of around 2,700 in northeastern Washington County. On behalf of the village officials, to welcome you all here today as we officially launch a very exciting and ambitious project. More about that in a moment. First, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the group on the dais. Excuse me, grass dais, that is. From my right, Roy Akins, Tourism Sales Manager of the New York State Department of Economic Development and Division of Tourism. Mark Hessler, President of the Dutch Barn Preservation Society. My left, our Assemblyman Bobby DeAndre, Patricia Muller, Mayor of the Village of Granville, and Peter Budiker, Operations Manager, Blue Circle Cement Company. We're very glad you could take time from your very busy schedules to join us today. Before we go any further, I'd like to recognize some of our guests in our audience. Stand up so everybody can see you. Keith Kramer, the architect we commissioned for the museum project. Keith? Well, I've got quite a few, so we might want to save the applause for the end.
What about me?
Jim Sutton, Assistant Plant Manager, Blue Circle Cement. Victor Clark, Supervisor, Town of Clemens. Roy Esiason, Supervisor, Town of Granville. Thomas Clift and Charlie Hensler from the Warren, Washington County BOCES. I think they're unable to attend.
Sorry, there are two architects, Michael Hussain and...
I'm sorry, Michael Hussain. I'm sorry. Michael Hussain also working with Keith on the architect.
Thank you so much.
Christine Miles, Executive Director of the Albany Institute of History and Arts. Martin Bannon, Director of the Albany County Historical Association. Everett Rao and Dr. Vincent Schaefer of the Dutch Barn Preservation Society.
Vince couldn't be here today, he's has a cold.
Michael Zerlo, representing Senator Stafford today. Nebraska Brace, representing Senator Howard Nolan. Anna Bryant, representing Albany County Executive Michael Havlock. There are also several people from the New York State Department of Economic Development whom we'd like to recognize. Gerald Shea, International Trade Specialist. Mary Kate Paglione, Director of the World Trade Center. And Michael Busick, an intern from Germany.
They're all driving in.
They're driving right now.
Well, they're welcome then.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only member of our committee here today. I'd like to recognize some people that have come down with me. It's a long trek from Granville. Adrian Curtis, president of Hilltop Slate Company. Ann Hitchin. Charlie King, president of the Granville Chamber of Commerce. Mary King, director of the Pember Museum and Library. Phil Smiller, Granville Town historian. Claire O'Brien. Joe O'Donnell. Beverly Tatkill, president of Sheldon Slate and Tatkill Brothers. And Gene Rice. Again, we are all delighted you could come here to celebrate with us. Well, Granville may have been settled in the 17th century, but the thing that put our village on the map was rock formed 500 million years ago. We started quarrying in about 1849, and today our slate is on the roof of the White House, the roof of the buildings at Harvard University, the Baseball Hall of Fame, and thousands of other buildings constructed with slate from our Slate Valley. The Slate Valley of upstate New York is a swath of countryside that cuts across Washington County and into Rutland County, Vermont. After the discovery of slate in the 19th century, it quickly became the backbone of our area's economy and life. Today, in fact, New York and Vermont produce significantly more slate than anywhere else in the nation. Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Maine also rank top 5 slate-producing states. The industry developed in the latter part of the 19th century and saw its heydays at the turn of the 20th century, when there were 81 quarries and 64 slate companies operating in Washington County and Rutland County. During that time, there were about 3,000 people employed in the industry, and nearly $2 million worth of slate was produced. During the mid-20th century, the industry suffered somewhat, but since the mid-70s has been flourishing again. There are about 25 slate companies employing between 400 and 500 people in Washington County and across the border in Vermont. We ship slate everywhere in the world. In addition to being the ranking slate state, New York is the only place in the world with red slate. We all recognize that slate has an immeasurable impact on shaping our community's commerce, heritage, and culture. So in May of 1991, a group of 50 of us got together and decided we should create a museum to collect, preserve, study, and exhibit objects that illustrate the slate industry and the relation of that slate story to the history and development of Granville and the surrounding towns. The Slate Valley Museum, as it will be known, will exhibit tools, machinery, pictures, and other artifacts and displays about the slate industry and the people critical to its success. As our plans gelled, we became more excited. We commissioned an architect, Keith Kramer from Albany, to design our museum. And that's how we came to know Blue Circle Cement, friends of ours now from Urbana. Another area where mines and quarries played a big part in development. Mr. Bluter and his company, Blue Circle Cement, solved our first big problem: where to house our collection. On the surrounding company's 3,200 acres stood a New World Dutch barn, dating back to 1840, which through the generosity of Blue Circle Cement will serve as a centerpiece of the museum. These barns, like the one right here, dotted the countryside of the Mohawk, Schoharie, and Hudson Valleys during the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries. And like our slate, they're very much part of the history of the region of New York. At this point, I'd like to introduce Peter Budiker, Operations Manager of Blue Circle Cement. Budiker.
It is a pleasure for me to welcome you here today on behalf of the employees of Ravenna Plant, of the Blue Circle Cement Company. I think that it is fitting that this cement plant is involved in an activity to ensure the preservation of this historic Dutch barn. Because the cement industry and this barn share a common historical heritage. The Hudson River Valley was the first major artery of commerce for the early colonial settlers. Those pioneers soon discovered the precious rock formation of the Hudson Valley: limestone, clay, and shale. The limestone was mined for centuries as building blocks and as the primary ingredient for the manufacture of Portland cement. Clay and shale are used in brick manufacture. Brick factories and cement plants have dotted the Hudson River Valley for over 200 years. Further north, the same rock formation were mined for slate, and along with limestone, brick, and cement were transported down the Hudson River to feed the growing hunger of our expanding republic. Those construction products on the Hudson River were tied together, and like this barn, are a part of our local heritage. We like to think of our Ravenna cement operation as a modern link in a chain of economic history that can be traced back to this early Hudson River industries. This cement plant was built here because of those raw materials and because the Hudson River is still a major artery of commerce. Even today, this area has much to offer investors and families. We possess an enviable mix of education, recreational and economic resources. Perhaps this event this afternoon will help to focus attention and the opportunities that still exist here. This historic Dutch barn is symbolic of our common heritage. We are proud to be able to donate it to an organization that will maintain and preserve it, where it will serve generations to come as an example of creative Dutch craftsmanship, and also as an example of our industrial history. And now let me ask Mayor Patricia Miller of the village of Granville and Matt Hicks, trustee of the village of Granville and chairman of the museum committee, to join me here at the podium. It is a pleasure for me as the representative of the Blue Circle cement plant here in Ravenna to present you with this hinge from a door of this barn. A symbolic presentation of the ownership of this barn.
Thank you, Mr. Bodeker. We certainly applaud your efforts to save this historical building and are very, very grateful you've chosen the village of Granville to donate it to for our Slate Valley Museum. This is an enormous undertaking for a small community such as ours, so your generosity is even more critical. Without your help, we would possibly be facing an enormous capital investment and the project may not have been able to be sustained. We also believe that using another slice of history will make our Slate Valley Museum even more special. In fact, we believe the museum will be the only one dedicated to slate anywhere in America. Definitely the only one housed in a 19th century New World Dutch barn. We plan to dismantle the barn in the spring of 1993 and reassemble it on a 1.5-acre site behind River Street in the village of Granville. The land was donated by the estate of Hugh G. Williams, a descendant of Granville's slate baron. It borders the Medowee River and is adjacent to the Pember Museum and Library, which typically attracts about 10,000 people annually. We plan to open the Slate Valley Museum in its initial stages next fall. And Mr. Bodeker and your colleagues from Blue Circle Cement, we will certainly have a special place for you at our grand opening, which we hope you'll be able to attend. And very sincerely, on behalf of everyone in Granville, we can't help but thank you again for your very generous donation.
Mayor, thank you again, Mr. Bodeker. The barn will be the center of the museum and include 2 wings. One wing will house the main exhibit area, and the other somewhat smaller wing will be a community room, which will also include video and slide presentations. The components of these structures will be constructed under an agreement with the Warren Washington County BOCES project at just for the cost of material. We estimate the total long-range cost of this project to be around $500,000. In fact, the generous donation of Blue Circle Cement launches our fundraising effort, which you'll be hearing more about as the project continues to unfold. One thing that cannot be overlooked is the importance of the Dutch barn to the history of New York State. Before we go any further, I'd like to introduce Mark Hessler, President of the Dutch Barn Preservation Society, to really put some historical significance of the barn into perspective. Mark.
Thank you. On behalf of the Society, I'd like to say that we're very proud and excited to be involved in such a project. Our society was formed in 1985 and dedicated to the preservation, recording, documentation of the New World Dutch barns. These barns represent the earliest form of barn architecture in the United States and represent a period of our agricultural history that's now gone by, a very unique period of grain farming, primarily in the 18th and 19th centuries. The Dutch and Palatine Germans participated in this. These barns are very rapidly disappearing from our landscape. 150, 200 years ago, you would find them all over this region here, the Hudson River, Schoharie Valleys, eastern Mohawk Valleys, even down Long Island and New Jersey. We, as a society, applaud both the foresight and efforts of Blue Circle Cement, as well as the Granville Slate Museum and the town of Granville, in trying to take the extra effort to preserve this Dutch barn here on this site. Too often, the heritage and historic value of these barns are overlooked, and they're lost to development, to destruction, to declining agriculture in New York State and elsewhere. So it's a real pleasure for us. We're glad to be part of this project. We're committed to providing whatever support we can to this project as well as other barn preservation efforts. And you know, I'd make the group aware of the value of these barns and other early barns, and that it's worth the extra effort to try and preserve them. One point, our membership is quite varied. Folks from New Jersey and New York State as well. We have members over in Europe as well as elsewhere in the country, but I think two particular trustees were worth mentioning in their efforts in this project. Everett Rao, who's in the audience, and Vince Schaefer. I think they were instrumental in trying to pull together and bring recognition to the value of this barn and coordinate some efforts here on behalf of Blue Circle and the Granville Slate Museum. So just some recognition to those folks. And again, thank you, and we look forward to a very successful project.
Thank you, Mark. It's with encouragement for people like you that reminds us we're on the right track. And also, we're helping to preserve two facets of our heritage, not just one. It also reminds me the village of Granville could not undertake this project in a vacuum. We are truly dependent upon many friends, one of which is certainly our Assemblyman, Bobby DeAndre. Assemblyman?
Thank you, Matt. It's a great pleasure to have been invited here today to partake of these ceremonies. And I think it's great when you take a village the size of Granville that reaches out to promote a part of its history, to reaches out to help to improve its economy, because I think when you put this museum there and you make it a national museum, and we will work with you on those efforts, I think it's great when Blue Circle Cement Company became involved, private industry, donating this particular facility, along with the volunteers putting their effort, coordinating with the public sector, the village, the state of New York. I think it's great when they all come together to promote history, to help the economy, and I will share in whatever I can as the future unfolds itself to do what I can financially, promoting it any way, shape, or form, Matt, and to the volunteers out there. I'm sure I speak for both Senator Stafford, Congressman Solomon, our two national senators, Moynihan and D'Amato, saying that we will support you in any way that we can in this undertaking. It's not a small one, it's a big one. You started on a big journey and we're very pleased, and we will do what we can. We congratulate you, and in particular, Blue Circle Cement, because when private industry donates time, money, effort, it's appreciated. It really makes things progress. And the effort the mayor is taking, the council, and everyone else. I think it's great. I'm happy to be part of it, and good luck.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Words of encouragement like that mean a lot to us. We've got a long road to go. I'd like to introduce now at this point Roy Akins, a new friend of this week, who represents the New York State Department of Economic Development in the I Love New York program.
Thank you, Matt. I too would like to tell you how personally and pleased I am to be here today, both because I had the opportunity several years ago to work among you people in Granville as a marketing director for the Telescope Casual Furniture Company. And so I know that when the Granville people come together and they decide to do something, it's going to happen. And I'm also pleased that the I Love New York program will be able to add a new attraction among the many that are in Washington County in the Granville area, with the Pembroke Museum and the legend of Grandma Moses and the history that we're going to be seeing here today with the barn that will be taken down and brought over to Granville and put up, and to give us a new attraction to promote on your behalf. As I heard the number of places that have the slate on its roof across the country, including the White House, I'd like to say that there's a house in Glens Falls that also has your slate on my roof, and I hope you stay in business for a long time to come. But we do have a heritage, and perhaps as the Silicon Valley has its name and impact on the country and the world, so will we tell the people about Slate. And I know that the representatives in government will do everything they can, and the conditions today, even though we have a little tent over the inclement, let us consider the offerings here a little bit of water, a blessing on this occasion, because I know that this is not just the beginning, but a very early conception of a new project that will have a great success in the future, and we'll do everything that we can to get many more visitors to come your way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Akins. We'll be anxious to see our name listed on your wonderful materials to promote New York State to the rest of the world, and anxious to host as many visitors as we can coming our way. One visitor who we anticipate seeing before next fall, but who couldn't be here today, is Congressman Jerry Solomon. Since he couldn't be here, he sent along a letter I'd like to read to you. I want everyone to know that I'm delighted with the news that a museum dedicated to the slate industry is being planned for the village of Granville. I'm also grateful to the Blue Circle Atlantic Cement Company for the generous contribution of a 19th century New World Dutch barn, which will be relocated to Granville and house the museum. I hope to be at that dedication. Congratulations to the Slate Valley Museum members for their efforts and motivated dedication. Your legacy to the slate industry heritage will be recognized for generations to come. Hello to everyone, and the best of good fortune, Jerry Solomon. Also, from down this way, Congressman Mike McNulty. Dear Mr. Hicks, please accept my heartfelt congratulations as you inaugurate the Slate Valley Museum project in Granville. This is an exciting project. Not only does it underscore the historic contributions of the Slate Valley to the development of the slate industry in our state, it is also a fitting announcement that the Slate Valley Museum will be housed in a 19th century New World Dutch barn, thanks to the generosity of the Blue Circle Cement Company in Ravenna. I wish you for every success in this unique undertaking, which will for generations to come depict the contributions of Granville to the economic development of the area. Sincerely yours, Dr. McNulty. And one final one. This is from Senator Stafford. Dear friends, I regret that I cannot be with you today, but I want to congratulate you on the important step in the creation of the Slate Valley Museum. Preserving heritage of our community is an essential part of preserving the community itself. I wish you the best of luck and urge you to contact me if I can be of any assistance whatsoever. I certainly appreciate them to send the letters along. That brings us towards the end. I'd like to thank again Assemblyman DeAndre for coming down today, Roy Akins for his help with the state, Mark Ketzler for reminding us about the importance of the Dutch barns, and last and certainly not least was Peter Budeker from Blue Circle Cement. Without him, we wouldn't be here today. We're very grateful for your generous donations. Also, I'd like to thank a few people who worked behind the scenes to make this effort a success from Blue Circle Cement. Jim Sutton, Paul Beal, and Bob Van Slyke. This time I'd like you to take a chance to look at the artist renderings we have here, some photographs of the slate industry, and of course, take a tour of the barn. Thank you all for coming.
Village of Ravenna.
I want more.
All right, Elisa Streeter will tell you in a trip down Streeter's Lane.
You are looking at Slate from the Slate Valley of upstate New York and Vermont. Now let's look at this old Dutch barn from the 1800s. It sits alone and deteriorating in the village of Ravenna. You would think these two, Slate and old barns, would make very strange bedfellows. But alas, some very creative people have found a match made in heaven.
The Dutch barn is an old barn, but it's very sturdy. It's lasted for centuries. It's a durable product, just like slate is.
So why not put the two together? The Blue Circle Cement Company in Ravenna has donated this barn to the village of Granville, the heart of Slate Valley. It will be taken down piece by piece and put back together like a puzzle in Granville. Then it will house the new Slate Valley Museum and remind folks of how important slate is to New York and Vermont. In fact, it was the backbone of this area back in its heyday.
It was a very large industry for our valley up there. And the people who lived through that are starting to disappear. And the stories, and the culture, and the heritage, and the real ethnic fabric of our valley is those stories.
This is the support column. This is the tongue sticking through with a wedge to hold it tight against here with 2 wooden pegs.
As for the old Dutch barn, it has stood through more than 100 years, and at one time the center of the agricultural community.
It stored their grain for themselves, for their cattle, and it also served as a place for the cattle to stay in shelter through the wintertime.
Right now, the barn stands empty, but soon it will be bustling again. Maybe not with grain or cows or old Dutch tools, but in a way the Dutch never dreamed of and would no doubt approve of. I'm Elisa Streeter with a view from Streeter's Lane.
The barn will officially be donated tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and then comes the hard part. Taking it down and putting it back together in Granville, and they expect to do that by next summer.
Old barns are amazing. They're so interesting. They
so
have
much character.
Yeah, they do, and you just look at them and they're interesting.
They sure are.
Hey,
That's great. How you doing? Things are going well, huh? Yeah. I like that.
How you doing? We're just talking about you.
This is Charlie Henson.
Charlie, we met last summer. This is basic. I don't know what you want for blueprints, but we don't have much for the module. There's not much.
I asked Bob Monroe, and this is the closest they came up with. And then I asked him about specs, and he said that you described it. You get them different with each.
Yeah, you know, it's 2x6 walls, and so basically we can build anything that, you know.
What was it specifically?
Well, we're looking for a list of things, what we're going to need exactly, and start sending it to the fundraising people so they can go to the lumber yards and things and say, hey, we need
Have you done any renditions yet about what the
closest we've done is pure concept.
So really, we'd have to, you know, once we had some kind of floor plan, then you could come up with a list of some kind of
We want to give you the kind of floor plan they're used to doing.
There's nothing they're used to. They're doing an octagonal, isn't it?
Yeah.
8-sided.
8-sided. I mean, that's all we need.
They're doing an 8-sided, two-story concession stand right now for the Little League.
So you know,
so they can do any.
No, this is on site.
So they could virtually do anything.
Yeah, it's not.
You have to.
You know.
Okay, great. Keeps it simple.
Nothing fixed at all. You can.
As long as we have a sketch.
I'll show you what we have right now.
Yeah, but I'm just.
Boxes.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't do that.
Yeah, that's too simple. I suppose you want all the sides the same too, huh?
Roof is well, we don't want you to do the roof, of course, because that's going to be volunteer slate.
But the other thing would be, I don't think we've ever put up anything with the slate, because doesn't it have to have double thick walls or something?
Well, you just got to
I've got
add
a
it way.
storefront on the main street, and it's going to let us use their window.
I know some of the, you look at some of the old houses, you wonder how the slate is still on the roof with 2x4 rafters and 18 inches apart.
Close proximity to our banks.
So,
both are going to be connected by those, Roy. They're going to allow us to use that.
Well, the barn is going to be in the center. Michael's.
But the thing is that I must tell you one thing, that this it won't last more than 2 months if you stay down. That's why we have to take a photo right away. Good for a long time, and especially if you want to put it in show window gets enough sunlight to burn the whole thing. No, you can't. Sun burns everything. That's why we have to take
Now what I have right now, I'd have to,
someone
you know,
this morning he said it's $50.
see, well, we were hoping that we'd have more of them from Granville, Whitehall area, so we could maybe
Granville, Whitehall, Fort and Hartford, yeah.
ship them right there. And
you need to go over the list and get
I don't think we have too many, that's my problem. Last year I had a
because
whole bunch.
good chunks of, once we know, good chunks of any of it, kind of prefab, and then take it up and assemble.
Well, the piece we're looking at built on
I
site
asked them to take photos.
720 square
They
feet.
are really happy with it now, because otherwise by this time
Quick.
we may have to, that's what we have to do. I have to take photos. These are originals. They cannot be protected. I tried all the coating, sprays and all.
For this one, it doesn't work.
Here's the one. You wish that you had a card with you.
Oh, I do, but I didn't want to put it over my...
Now, Keith, as far as the actual material, piece of light, if we can turn
They
these up,
deserve to be called.
you have some material.
I don't care. I'm not mad.
As far as the lumber material,
Maybe it's an
we got
admission
two or
of my
three small
spot. I
mills
don't
in our
think
area
it's a big
right now. Mills.
If you think of anything I can do to help, I don't hesitate to call.
Okay. Well, we got, thanks a lot.
I'm Charlie King from Granville. I'm president of Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the Slate Museum committee, and I have tons and tons of contacts out there. We could turn up a lot of these
Boy,
things.
what is happening?
As opposed to going to Grossman's, for instance, and paying X amount of dollars for 2x4, have them made.
You have a cutoff date when we have to have all our stuff together, so you can plan the next semester?
No, right now I'm finishing the house we're building last year.
More of that is that more pressure that puts on certain
And whatever.
Get some articles in there.
I can take the crew off and start back at the shop. Whenever you're ready.
As soon as
Working drawings and all that.
you finish these
And as I said, we don't
enough
need
so that he
detailed
could
drawings,
say,
you know,
I gotta have somebody of these, somebody
We
of
build,
that.
we basically,
If we knew how, what is very
No.
That's all that's all that's holding you. You lay out whatever specs you want.
I just need dimensions.
There's nothing,
all right,
no
that
limits.
is easy.
Yeah, I don't need,
It's
you know,
simple,
I don't think
we're
they're-
keeping it as simple as possible.
Yeah, we're
See the
keeping it
plan.
so simple.
Oh, yeah,
so I don't need
they
detailed
built, well, you've
specs
seen
and
the
everything
houses,
house, you know,
library,
it's,
they don't have
you're
one.
probably going 2x6 walls,
Therefore,
or you're
there's really
going
no
approaching
reason why they
them,
can't.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
what about approaching the town boards directly?
So that's what I was doing.
I think that's fine.
But,
The
this
best way,
was got to be
because
taken
it's certainly,
photo
done hard for them to do, right?
Oh, damaged by light.
What we'd like to do is
Maybe
get a copy
even
of this so we can display nearly like this. We're also going to have a fundraising activity and a couple other
Preserve
things.
being located in town.
And we're going to display this right in the store.
They have an even more vested interest than the
Oh,
library.
yeah, I have set drawings for you. So this is Michael Hussein. We haven't met.
Yes, I met you, Mike, once at a couple of our meetings.
And it's
Yeah, we met together.
This is the Bosie's connection.
When we lived in Mendon, Vermont,
And that's,
Mendon didn't have
yeah,
its
it's
own
good to know that.
I thought the whole reason to get out of school is so you'll never have to do homework again.
I could look at it that way, but then I'd be stuck in the same job all my life doing